Hi, everybody. Joyce Ross here. I'm still in Victoria visiting family. And on the other screen, we have Patricia. You want to say a quick hello, Patricia?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to tonight's webinar. More
Yeah,
grammar.
more grammar. Yeah. You know, the more I study grammar, the more I realize what I need to know. There's a lot I need to know. Anyways, we're from Kindness is Key Training and Publishing, Inc., and that's the home of the HEARTMIND WISDOM Inspirational Anthology collection. So I'm going to put on the slideshow for you, just like we did last week. And here we go. Share. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So tonight we're going to do study the comma. It's my most challenging piece of punctuation, and so we're going to do review and quizzes. And for all of my writing career, everything more that I learn about commas just helps me so greatly. So, but it's party time, because last webinar we finished studying the 8 parts of speech. Is that exciting or what? Anyone just coming in for the first webinar, there's where you can find out our view, actually, all of our lessons on inspirational authorship and our previous grammar lessons. So that's at www.heartmindeffect.com. That's a EFFECT. So if you get confused about anything we mentioned tonight and you think, my goodness, I better go back and study the 8 parts of speech, that's where you'll find them. In celebration of your tenacity and in keeping with the vote we took last webinar, I've chosen a new avatar for Grammar Hound. Patricia, a drum roll, please. Oh, she's good. She's just right on cue with that. This cute little dash hound is our new Grammar Hound avatar. Is he cute or what? I've got to buy the actual picture so he's not blurry, but he's just so cute. So she looks, or I'm calling he already. She looks wonderful in glasses and is peering directly into the camera, which is important when you're teaching. And she looks great sitting on a chair behind a desk. And she's also right at home on top of a desk, which is where she'll need to sit to reach the blackboard, which is actually a green board. Since I'm changing things up, I also painted the classroom. Yellow is cheerier than white. So doesn't that look nice? We've got a nice new classroom, new avatar. Things are looking up. Okay, that's enough about me. We're going to begin this lesson with a review of the last 2 types of conjunction. So we're going to study or look at the conjunctive adverb and the correlative conjunction. We had some confusing times last webinar, so we're really doing an extensive review on this because the punctuation really gets involved and it's super important that you get it. So if you feel like everything I'm teaching you tonight, you already know, ho-hum, good for you. Big pat on the back from me. And if you finally are starting to figure it out like me, congratulations too. So here we go. Then because comma place, what's it say? Oh, got to follow along. And then the next sentence is, then because comma placement is crucial for ensuring sentences actually convey what an inspirational author wants to express, there will be a comma quiz. It's exciting, right? Hey, did you guys see right there on the end of that exciting comma right on my tag question there? I used an interrobang. If you don't know what an interrobang is, let me know or go to our other webinars. Oh, okay. Hey, Grammar Hound, you haven't mentioned me yet. What if people think that you got rid of me when you changed your image? By the way, I think the room should be blue, not yellow. Cat. Inspirational authors, this is my feline friend, Silly Cat. She thinks everything's hilarious. And Silly Cat, you complain too much. I could paint the room in zebra patterns so that you are less noticeable. She kind of disappears there. I thought that was fun. And then she says, okay, I get it. I'll try to keep quiet. Don't forget to tell everyone that Patricia will relay what people type in the chat box. So there we go. We got a picture of Patricia. And Silly Cat, thanks for the reminder. And I can't see the chat box. All I can see is the PowerPoint that we're using for training. So you type your comments, suggestions, and answers to the quizzes into the chat box. There's a little picture there on the bottom. And Patricia will let me know what's there. So thank you, Patricia. And let's move on to our review.
Okay, Joyce, so we're having some technical issues.
What's going on?
Yeah, Jerry has no sound reconnected 4 times, and Josephine has a blurry picture. So the only thing I can say is to go in and out and reboot. Everything here from where I stand is clear and not blurry, and I can hear Joyce. So hopefully things will improve. Try again. Oh, Joseph's on. Hi, Joseph.
Ask Joseph if he can hear us.
Joseph, can you hear us? Go ahead, Joy. He'll let me know in a minute.
Okay. So review. So remember, a conjunction is a word that joins together conjoined sentences, clauses, phrases, or words. And there are 4 types of conjunctions. That's what we've been studying for the last couple of webinars. So coordinating conjunctions are used to link individual words, phrases, and independent clauses. I'll speak more about that in a moment. Subordinate conjunctions connect an independent meaning clause to a dependent or subordinate clause. Conjunctive adverbs link 2 independent clauses. And correlative conjunctions are paired conjunctions that link balanced words, phrases, and clauses. So we're going to touch on all of these a little bit today, so that if this still sounds like gobbledygook, don't worry about it. So the conjunctive adverb links independent clauses. So an independent clause can stand alone as a complete sentence. It's not dependent on another part. The function of the conjunctive adverb is to make it clear how the ideas on either side of the conjunctive adverb are related. So if we're using a conjunctive adverb, the 2 clauses are going to be related. So conjunctive adverbs include words like accordingly, afterward, also, anyhow, anyway, besides, certainly. You can all read. You can see there's a lot of them. The one we use a lot, or I use a lot, is however, and then I use a lot, still I use a lot, perhaps I use a lot. I seldom use indeed, but I have in these examples. So here's some examples of conjunctive adverbs. They're in bright yellow, the actual conjunctive adverb. So the baby fell asleep, then the doorbell rang. So they're related. She claimed I was her best friend. However, she disappeared when I needed her. I told everyone he was a great guy, period there. Meanwhile, he attempted to destroy my reputation. She was kind and generous. Nevertheless, she married a penny-pinching grouch. You'll recognize these from last week because I really think we need to go over this lesson. Your work is sloppy and you're consistently late. Therefore, you're being demoted. Hope I never hear that. So you remember this example. The conjunctive adverb here is otherwise. So always go to other people's funerals. Otherwise, they won't go to yours. It's Yogi Berra, who is actually quite smart. So put on your thinking caps. We're about to review transitional phrases. So we did this last week too. A traditional phrase functions as a conjunctive adverb. So remember, a phrase is a conceptual group of words without a subject-verb component, i.e. there isn't a noun, subject, performing an action, verb. So here are some examples of traditional phrases that function much like a conjunctive adverb. So after the devastation, comma, something happened. Broken into a million pieces, you might be identifying something, saying, it's the one over there that's broken into a million pieces. For 10 days, another transitional phrase, with the blue shirt. So the guy over there with the blue shirt, you're identifying someone, for instance. Traditional phrases include as a result, at last, at the same time, for example, for instance, on the contrary, in addition. You can read the rest. On the other hand, etc. So she wasn't nice or generous. On the contrary, she was a penny-pinching grouch. So there's your transitional phrase, on the contrary. Your work is sloppy and you're consistently late. As a result, you're being demoted. So, again, it doesn't really matter if you know what a transitional phrase, if you understand that expression or not. It doesn't really matter. Now, whenever you see what looks, like as a result, on the contrary, in fact, comma, you'll know that you need a comma following the transitional phrase. So that's the main reason why I want you to know about that. Just because I want you to know where commas go and semicolons go. So a semicolon, not a comma, should precede a conjunctive adverb or a traditional phrase that is used to link 2 independent sentences so they can stand alone, or clauses can stand alone. So Joyce skipped numerous grammar classes, semicolon, as a result, comma, she failed. Silly cat talked throughout class, semicolon, however, she passed. Is there anything in the question box, Patricia? Are people able to hear us now? People can hear us okay now?
Yeah, everybody's good.
Okay, good. So here's an important comma rule. Unless you want to evoke the ire of grammar purists, the comma following a traditional phrase is not optional. It is never optional. So Joyce skipped numerous grammar classes, semicolon, as a result, comma, she failed. Joyce skipped I got that in there twice too. Did that last week too. Oh no, it's because it's got a period. Joyce skipped numerous grammar classes, period. As a result, she failed. So 2 independent clauses are now 2 independent statements because there's a period after classes. So here's a general comma rule. Conjunctive adverbs can also be used to interrupt a sentence. As a general rule, when used as an aside, like just a comment, a little side comment, a conjunctive adverb is sandwiched between a pair of commas. So here we go. It is, however, difficult to comprehend that Joyce failed grammar when she loves English classes. She's determined, nevertheless, to pass next semester. If I take out, however, because it's just an aside, I don't really need it. It is, so I can just read that sentence as, without the however, it is difficult to comprehend that Joyce failed grammar when she loves English classes. So it's an aside. I don't really need it. She's determined to pass next seminar. Don't really need, nevertheless. Can put it in or not put it in. So it's an aside. Gets sandwiched between commas. Here's a comma rule. When the interruption in a sentence is weak, it isn't necessary to sandwich a conjunctive adverb between a pair of commas. So this is where, you know, grammar always gets a little bit, I'm not sure. So Joyce will therefore be required to repeat the semester. So I don't really need therefore there either, and it just kind of slipped it in. So Joyce will be required to repeat the semester. It's just an aside, doesn't have to get sandwiched out because it's just kind of mild and weak. Skipping classes was indeed a mistake. Yeah, I never used that word. So skipping classes was a mistake, but someone might want to emphasize that it was indeed a mistake. For certain, it was a mistake. And silly cat, meanwhile, will graduate. So silly cat will graduate, but if you want to just, you know, sort of compare silly cat's graduating to mine failing, you might go silly cat, meanwhile, will graduate. So not too exciting, but good to know. So the comma following a conjunctive adverb is somewhat optional. So I don't know if this bothers any of you, but I always struggle with this when I'm writing, trying to decide, am I sticking in my comma or not sticking in my comma? I don't really lose sleep like that baby when she got woke up. But so a grammar purist would write, the baby fell asleep, then comma, the doorbell rang. A renegade writer or a more relaxed writer would just write, the baby fell asleep, and then this is broken into 2 sentences, then the doorbell rang. And it could have been a semicolon there. Grammar purist example. Silly cat is a renegade writer, semicolon, yet, comma, he aces grammar exams. A renegade writer might write, silly cat is a renegade writer, yet he aces grammar exams. So you see, I've just separated that with a semicolon. All of those statements are correctly punctuated. So I hope you're getting that. So now we're getting a quiz. Ha ha ha! We'll see if you're paying attention. So it's quiz time. When you're ready, type your answer into the chat box. And Patricia, please let me know when we have a few answers, and then I'll tell the answer. So this is a little bit different. We've got a whole pile of A statements and a whole pile of B statements, and you have to decide whether the group of A statements is correct or the group of B statements is correct. So here we've got group A. Silly cat said she'd be quiet, semicolon, then comma, she rambled on for hours. Silly cat said she'd be quiet, semicolon, then no comma, she rambled on for hours. Patricia told her to stop talking, semicolon, however, comma, silly cat would not listen. Patricia told her to stop talking, period, silly cat would not listen. So you have to decide if there's anything wrong with the punctuation in those sentences. Here's the B statements. Silly cat said she'd be quiet and then rambled on for hours. No punctuation except at the end. Silly cat said she'd be quiet but rambled on for hours. So all I've done there is change and to but. Silly cat said she'd be quiet but rambled on for hours. Patricia told her to stop talking. However, sandwiched between commas, silly cat would not listen. Patricia told her to stop talking, comma, silly cat would not listen. So which of those statements are correctly punctuated? The A statements or the B statements? Are we getting any answers into the comment or the chat box yet, Patricia?
Not yet.
People are thinking. They've got their thinking caps on. I hope their thinking caps are as cute as like mine, you know, my avatar thinking cap.
Is this a trick question?
Nope. Why? You got a question?
Hey,
you can ask me
answers
later.
are coming in.
Yeah, good.
And we've got 3 A's and 2 B's.
3 A's and 2 B's. Okay, well, we're going to go through all the A's and all the B's and talk about why they're correct or not correct, okay? Are you ready?
Okay.
Here they are. So the A statements are correct. So let's examine both sets of answers. So, okay, so this is an explanation as to why the A statements are correct. So silly cat said she'd be quiet, semicolon, then comma, she rambled on for hours. So we just talked about this rule. When a conjunctive adverb, which then is, so then is a conjunctive adverb, the word then is a conjunctive adverb. When a conjunctive adverb links two independent clauses, a semicolon precedes the conjunctive adverb and a comma follows it. This is me, I'm going to cough, hold on a second. So, anybody have any questions about that? Type them in.
No, but Marla's crying because she said B.
That's okay. She keeps me in business. She keeps me, I have a job to do because I've got, some people who don't, know it all yet, but they will. Silly cat said she'd be quiet, semicolon, then she rambled on for hours. So we talked about the confusing comma rule, that the comma following a conjunctive adverb is somewhat optional. So I might not like it without the comma, but you might. It's up to you. And comma rule exception, when the interruption in a sentence is weak. What is that doing up there? Just a minute. That's not supposed to be there. The comma rule exception, just ignore that for a minute. Okay, so here's Patricia told her to stop talking, however, silly cat would not listen. Oh yeah, that's right, it does apply. When the interruption in a sentence is weak, it isn't necessary to sandwich a conjunctive adverb between a pair of commas. We know that. So some renegade writers have extended this rule to include the comma after a weak conjunctive adverb at the beginning of a clause or sentence. So it's just, that's where they're getting their permission from. It's just kind of weak, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So the next one is Patricia told her to stop talking, semicolon, however, silly cat would not listen. So it totally follows the rule of semicolon, conjunctive adverb, comma. So then the next one is Patricia told her to stop talking, silly cat would not listen. So two independent sentences. All we need is the terminal punctuation mark of a period after talking and the period after listen. That's all we need. They're two totally independent. They're not, no conjunctions needed. So that's why those are all right. So let's go look at the other one. I think I know which one Patricia's going to ask me about. Okay. So these are incorrect. You can tell by the big X there in the corner. So these are the B statements. And silly cat said she'd be quiet and then rambled on for hours. So you guys might not remember this one, but this is from coordinating conjunction. So I've got a really cool tip for you. When two independent clauses are joined by a coordinating conjunction, and you remember there are 7 of them, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And they actually form an acronym of fanboys. So if you want to remember those or memorize those, just think of fanboys, and then when you've got nothing else to do with your mind, like say you're doing something doesn't take a lot of concentration, like washing the dishes, just see if you can go through it. Go fanboys. What are they? For, and, nor, but, or, yet. So that whenever you're using those words, you'll stop and think. If your two clauses are independent, they can both stand alone. They don't need each other. Then, and you want to connect them with a coordinating conjunction such as for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, then a comma precedes a coordinating conjunction. And the way we get confused is that sometimes the subject is implied, right? So in the second part of the sentence, silly cat is implied. So we know that silly cat said she'd be quiet, period, but rambled on for hours. There, I would probably, if I were going to separate that into 2 sentences, I'd probably go silly cat said she'd be quiet, period, but she rambled on for hours. I'd add in she. However, those are 2 independent sentences because silly cat is implied. Any questions about that, Patricia?
No.
Why are you laughing?
Forget it. There's this private note from Jerry to Joseph in the chat. Jerry, we can all see it.
And Patricia's laughing.
Well, I am, because I missed the whole slide by reading the note. Sorry, Joy.
No, that's okay. So Patricia told her to stop talking, comma, however, comma, silly cat would not listen. So why would you put that in commas? You wouldn't, right? Because it's not an aside. So that's actually a conjunctive adverb. So you have to use a semicolon or a period after talking. And if you use a semicolon, then you have to capitalize a semicolon, then you've got to use a comma after. Well, you don't really have to use a comma after, but you could use a semicolon. And if you use a period, then you start, however, with a capital H, and then you decide whether or not you want to put that comma there. So to sandwich it in between is actually incorrect. If it's just an aside, maybe, but that's actually linking those two sentences. It's not an aside. So Patricia told her to stop talking, comma, silly cat would not listen. So two independent clauses separated by a comma is what we call that a run-on sentence. So you've ever wondered what's a run-on sentence? It doesn't mean it goes on forever and ever. It means the punctuation is not connecting it properly. So and usually it's this I think they would call a comma splice if I'm correct. So Patricia, but it's also a run-on sentence. So Patricia told her to stop talking, silly cat would not listen. You have to have a semicolon or a period there. You could also change it by breaking it into two sentences. Patricia told her to stop talking, period, silly cat would not listen. Or by adding but. Patricia told her to stop talking, comma, but silly cat would not listen. Or you could do, Patricia told her to stop talking, comma, but silly cat would not listen. Does this make sense to everybody? Clear as mud out there? Trish, are you and Jerry and Joseph still doing something else?
No. We're listening. Or I'm listening. I don't know. Josephine got into the action over there. But okay. But the second one, Patricia told her to stop talking. However, silly cat would not listen.
Yeah.
Could that be correct?
Some people do that, but it's not truly an aside, right? So Patricia told her to stop talking. However, is not an aside. Remember when we were talking about it being a side, you put it between thingies, and I knew that would be the one you'd have questions about. So if you're a grammar purist, you would really use a semicolon and then decide on whether or not you want to have your comma after however, because it's the proper way to connect it. Coordinating, I mean, a conjunctive adverb is semicolon, then the next statement. I'm just going by the rules. I know people do that, but I do not believe it's correct.
If you put that all the time.
I think I change them when I edit your stories, but it's not wrong to just use however as an aside, like I think you do, Patricia. But when you're trying to connect two sentences, the real rule is semicolon, then however, then the comma. When it's an aside, I'll go back a couple slides and show you again. Okay, so here we got Patricia told her to stop talking, semicolon, however, silly cat would not listen. Correct? You can see that?
Uh-huh.
That's the proper way to do it. But when we were looking at an aside, when we were playing with however, where was that one? We've got it sandwiched in here, right? So this is correct use of it. So this is just a conjunctive adverb can be used to interrupt a sentence. So, however, it is, however, difficult to comprehend that Joyce failed. So I'm interrupting the sentence there. I don't need it, right? It is difficult to comprehend. But when I'm using it to actually join, I'm supposed to do it the other way. That makes sense?
Yes.
I knew you were going to ask me about that one because it's the one that always gets me too. What should I be doing here? So I do see that a lot, exactly what you said. Just with a comma, when it's really supposed to be a semicolon, or, you can just put a period and then capitalize your H. Problem over. Okay, so correlative conjunctions, these were the ones where we all got confused last week, are paired conjunctions that link parallel words, phrases, and clauses. So they're like either or, neither nor, whether or, not only, but also. So I would love to give you tons of quizzes on this, and I may next week, I may just do the whole thing on either or, neither nor, or half of it anyways, because I've been taking tests online to make sure I know my stuff, and every now and then I get confused. So I'm sure you guys do too. However, we're going to go through it one more time. So the elements connected by a correlative conjunction are usually parallel, similar in length and a grammatical form. If, for example, a verbal phrase follows either, then a verbal phrase will also follow or. If a noun phrase follows neither, then a noun phrase will follow nor. So once Silly Cat graduates from grammar school, she will either start teaching her own online classes or begin instructing at a community college. So those are similar. So either start teaching verbal phrase or begin instructing verbal phrase. Once they've heard a few of Silly Cat's perfectly timed jokes, neither her students nor her colleagues will balk about a feline teaching grammar. So there we have another 2 verbal phrases. Nope, those are verbal nouns, sorry. Neither her students nor her colleagues and her students, they're nouns or subjects. Here we go. So the man is either dead or my watch has stopped. Groucho Marx. We had this last week. I like that. Cute. I like it, so I put it in again. Sorry. Okay, so when using a correlative conjunction, we're going to have a quiz in a minute, so pay attention. When using a correlative conjunction, the subject closest to the verb determines the verb form. So remember, the subject is the person or thing performing the action. It could be an animal. When the closest verb to the subject is plural, the verb takes the plural form. When the closest verb to the subject is singular, the verb takes the singular form. So here are some examples. Not only her colleagues, but also her employer needs to see Silly Cat in action to fully appreciate her quick and hilarious wit. Here it is with the reverse. So now we're going to have employer with singular. So we've got needs. Needs is the singular verb form. Now we switch it around. We put the employer first and the colleague second. So not only her employer, but also her colleagues, plural subject, plural verb form is need to see Silly Cat in action to fully appreciate her quick and hilarious wit. Don't worry, I've got a trick for you. I got such a good trick for you. Neither her classmates nor her prospective employer is invited to Silly Cat's graduation party. Don't panic, you guys. I've really got a good trick. It took me all day to figure it out. Okay, well, 3 hours. Neither her prospective employer nor her classmates are invited to Silly Cat's graduation. So classmates is plural, so we use are. Employer is singular, so we use is. So here we go. I looked at all kinds of ways to teach you this today, and I finally came up with a trick. So look at these wonderful little orange brackets. Can you see those, Patricia?
Yes.
Okay, so if you put the orange bracket into the exact same sentence and I only read the bracketed information and pretend I have a capital H on the word her, I've got her employer needs to see Silly Cat in action to fully appreciate her quick and hilarious wit, right? So my ear is trained to know that's correct. Her employer needs to see. You would never say in a conversation, because we've got a pretty good grasp of the English language, her employer need to see, correct?
Right.
Right. So all you need to do to know if you're using the right verb form is to bracket out the last part. So here we go again. Her colleagues need to see Silly Cat. You know it's not her colleagues needs with an S to see Silly Cat in action. You know that because your ear is trained to know that. So without even thinking about verb form, you know. So all you need to do is write your sentence if you're going to use this kind of sentence structure, which I'm forgetting the name of the moment, and then bracket out the last part because it's always determined by the last part or the part that's closest to it could be like a group of 3 people, right? Like 3 individual people or something, but it's the last one. It's the last subject that determines the verb form. So when you do it this way, when you bracket out the orange, it makes total sense. Everybody, can you type in if this makes sense?
Oh, they're so excited.
Are they getting it?
Yeah, they like it, and they think it's a cool trick, and yeah, they get it.
Took me hours to figure that out.
Well, now that you have, that's very good for us.
Yeah, I know. Because I was thinking, how can I explain this? What is the word? And I was looking at all the technical reasons, and I thought, oh my gracious, we just don't care. We're writers, right? We're not grammar specialists. So, I mean, even though we are somewhat, Okay, so here we go. Some of us, especially me, were confused toward the end of the last webinar. Let's cheat a little on the correlative conjunction quiz. I love to cheat. Don't answer until I tell you to. So you can look, but don't answer. So here, don't answer. Here are the questions. Neither Silly Cat nor her friends like sushi, which is just plain weird. Or neither Silly Cat nor her friends likes sushi. And here's two more. Neither my colleagues nor I am certain how receptive Silly Cat's students will be. And neither my colleagues nor I are certain how receptive Silly Cat students will be. Now watch what happens when you put in the orange brackets. It gets so obvious. You'll be able to answer this no problem, everybody. Which is correct, the A's or the B's? The clue is in between the orange brackets, so you can answer now. Is it the A statements or the B statements? Patricia, you going to let me know when we have a few answers?
Yep. While we're waiting for everybody's answer, I just wanted to say that Jerry had a comment earlier.
What was that?
And he said, it seems to me that the use of all the correct grammar sometimes changes the canons of the thought.
It can, which is why when you're using correct grammar, Jerry, you sometimes play around with your sentences, because if you don't like how something's coming across, if it's not exactly what you're trying to relay, you're a writer, and I know you're a good writer, so you just play with it until it does. And sometimes, like we learned with the question marks in the series questions, how fun it can be to learn grammar, but sometimes it's a pain. And remember, when you're writing dialogue, you can throw a lot of grammar out the window, but probably not the punctuation, but a lot of ways that we speak and words missing, etc. So you can have fun. So in some ways it makes it, gives you power. In some ways it forces you to think how you're going to phrase a sentence. So it's true.
Okay, Joy, the answers are in.
What are they?
And everybody had the same answer, so that's very exciting.
Which one?
A.
Yay! Yeah, it makes it way easier, right?
Yep.
Because you would never say neither Silly Cat nor, you'd never say her friends likes sushi. Her friends like sushi, or I are certain. You'd never say that, right? So when you separate it out, it just gets super easy. Dun, 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 dun! Now we know how to do that. Okay, so we're going to look at a whole new set of rules tonight. So how am I doing time-wise? I'm trying to be a lot better than last week. Oh, good. I've got lots of time. Because this is my last one, unless I skip ahead to someone I wasn't really going to show you, but I have ready. But, okay, we're going to look at the difference between essential and non-essential information in a sentence. So information that we absolutely have to keep in, and information that adds, some stuff, but not necessarily important. So the terms grammar purists use are restrictive clause for essential information and non-restrictive clause for non-essential information. So if it's non-important, it's non-restrictive. Non-essential, non-restrictive. So a restrictive clause is one that is essential to the definitiveness of the word it modifies. Its descriptiveness ensures the intended meaning of a statement is understood. I got this from somewhere. A non-restrictive clause. A non-restrictive clause adds information. However, did everybody see that semicolon and that however and then the comma? It's not essential to the definitiveness of the word it modifies. Its descriptiveness does not enhance the intended meaning of a sentence. So, okay, we got a really good clue for this one too, thanks to Silly Cat. You'll see in a second. So restrictive clause is not set off with commas. It has to be in there. So when you want to, just a minute, I'll show you in a minute. So the cat who ate the mouse is laughing. So if you said to me, who ate the mouse? And I would say, to identify who did that, right? So I have to say it's the cat who ate the mouse. So that's how you know it's, is laughing. So the cat who ate the mouse is laughing. So if I said, without the clause who ate the mouse, the sentence reads, the cat is laughing. Well, okay, that's nice. Why? If your intention is to describe which cat ate the mouse, you need to include the restrictive clause who ate the mouse. No commas. Do you see that?
Yep.
Now, if we make it a longer sentence and we throw in a non-restrictive clause, which is Silly Cat's cousin, we can go, the cat who ate the mouse, comma, Silly Cat's cousin is laughing. So without the clause, silly cat's cousin, we still know that the cat who ate the mouse is the one that is laughing. It's interesting to also know that the guilty culprit is silly cat's cousin, but it's not essential information for identifying who ate the poor mouse. Am I being clear?
Yes.
Okay, let's do some more because there's going to be a quiz. The cute little mouse eater looks exactly like me, right? Aren't they cute? I'm sorry, I just love these pictures. I just should make photo albums. Just make photos and sell them. Okay, so restrictive clause equals essential information equals no commas. Non-restrictive clause equals non-essential information equals commas. This is on top of all your other rules. They all have to be taken in consideration when you're writing. So here's Silly Cat. She's going to help us out. So she says, it's easy to remember that non-restrictive clauses need commas. Just think of the commas as handles you can use to pick up and discard the non-essential information. So that makes it pretty easy, right? If you think of your commas as being handles. So the cat who ate the mouse, silly cat's cousin, is laughing. Clear? Clear. I'll just pretend it was. That's a great tip, silly cat. Thank you. Patricia, are there any questions or comments?
No, everybody's in agreement.
Okay, we're laughing because there's a quiz coming. It's quiz time again. Type your answers into the chat box. I can't see, so Patricia's going to tell me the answer or tell me when you're right. So, which are correct? The A statements or the B statements? So we've got 2 A statements and 2 B statements. So Joy and her feline friend Sammy, whom Silly Cat claims to detest, are coming to visit. Not clear who she detests, me or my friend Sammy. Better rewrite that sentence. Judging by her behavior, lots of eye contact and giggling, I'd say Silly Cat has a crush on Sammy. Those are the A statements. The B statements are, Joy and her feline friend Sammy, who Silly Cat claims to detest. Again, I don't like that she might detest me. Whom Silly Cat claims to detest are coming to visit. And we've got that separated out with M dashes. Judging by her behavior, lots of eye contact and giggling, which we have separated out with brackets. I'd say Silly Cat has a crush on Sammy. Which are correct, the A statements or the B statements?
They're coming in fast and furious. Okay, so far everybody says A.
Well, everybody's right. But B are right too.
I was going to say, because we're not talking about commas.
Yeah, you can, yeah. The thing is that you can separate information out in a lot of different ways. So Jerry, who's, worried a little bit about being able to write how he wants to write, it's kind of cool to know that you can do these 4 different things. So the whom Silly Cat claims to detest could be separated out with commas because it's not essential information. And judging by behavior, lots of eye contact could be, there we go, separated out with commas again. So you guys were all right. And Patricia, you were right. The whom's, and everybody else was probably thinking that too, but they didn't know what to say because we were doing commas like Patricia said. But whom Silly Cat claims to detest, if I really wanted people to think about that, like if I usually would put something between M dashes that I really want the reader to notice. So there would have to be some reason that I'd want to keep writing about whom Silly Cat claims to detest. And separated out in brackets, I do that when my sentence is getting too long or it's just kind of like an aside comment I want to make or whatever. So judging by her behavior, I'd say Silly Cat has a crush on Sammy. And in brackets, I have lots of eye contact and giggling. So I'm just adding some information in to make what I'm trying to say more apparent to the reader. Wasn't that fun?
Yes, except Simmer says that she agrees with the first under B, first sentence, but I thought the second in B would require a comma. Where would you put the comma there, Simmer?
Well, actually, Simmer, no comma, because judging by her behavior, I'd say Silly Cat has a crush on, I think she might be right. I think you're right, Simmer. But the comma would come after giggling, because when we put a brackets in, she's right, because that becomes a, what's my term? Simmer, you're right. She's absolutely right. I got to find my term because I don't know all the terms. I do know that she's absolutely right. So Where's my thing gone? So that would be a subordinate conjunction. That's right. It's an independent clause to a dependent clause. So subordinate because it's independent and dependent. Let's go back and look at it. So Simmer, good for you. Big pat on the back. And that gives me a chance to talk about this because it's an important lesson. Oops. Oh, can't tell you that. Okay, so judging by her behavior, you see, that's a dependent clause because I'm setting the reader up to know there's more information coming. So judging by her behavior, would be, it's kind of leading, it's going somewhere, right? So judging by her behavior, that would have a comma right after behavior if I did not have the lots of eye contact and giggling. But because I do have lots of eye contact and giggling, that would actually go, because I'm talking about the behavior, that's, kind of bracketed off information about the behavior. So it's judging by her behavior, lots of eye contact and giggling, in brackets, comma. I'd say Silly Cat has a crush on Sammy. So she's absolutely right. Anybody got any questions about that?
Makes sense.
It's like a lead-in, kind of cause, right? Oh, very good, Simmer. Okay. So you can take off your thinking caps. Our lesson's finished. But before I talk about the next webinar, oh no, I'm getting done too fast. I'm only 45 minutes tonight. Does anybody want me to move on to the next lesson that's sort of ready? Yes or no? You want 15 more minutes or not?
Haven't answered yet.
No one's answering?
No, but it takes a minute. Oops.
You got oops?
No, we got nope. But I'm
Nope.
not sure why. That's Oceana, but I don't think it's has to do with this. I'm not
Doesn't really matter.
Why are you saying nope?
They might have had enough.
Oh, Oceana didn't get it.
Didn't get what?
Marla has to go. Jerry doesn't want any more. Sorry,
Yeah.
Joy.
No, it's fine. I just don't want to rip them off. I think that, 45 minutes to an hour is lots of grammar. So did everybody learn what they hope to learn tonight then? Does everybody learn something new?
Tonight. Okay, hold on, guys, because, you have something else, right, about the calendar, Joy, before they,
Yes.
Yeah, don't go off yet.
Yeah, it just says next webinar is Tuesday, April 13th. So I'm continuing on with more about commas and more comma review, because until we all get the right answers, including me, and Simmer doesn't have to point out my errors, it's just really important, because commas and, is the most important piece of punctuation as far as I'm concerned, because it's the one that's most cumbersome and has the most rules. Pretty easy to understand where to put a period. And there's lots more to learn about that.
Joy, before we close, Oceana, do you still have a question about the lesson? Please let us know, and maybe you can write to us afterwards. Let us know.
Well, yeah, I can. Oceana, make sure you write it down, and then when we do our editing session, you can ask me about it, and I can bring up the PowerPoint or whatever, or you can ask now.
Okay, and she also has a very good point.
What's
that? That is that you put Wednesday as the class, not Tuesday.
That's funny.
You just like the number 13.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't come on the 13. Come on the 12th. Oh, no, that's funny. I did like the 13. I saw 13 and went, okay, cool, I'm in. Yeah. I think I don't know why I did that. That's hilarious. Thank you, Oceana. Very good catch. Okay,
and we all went away along with it. Yeah, no problem.
Well, I just, it's Tuesday, right? Hey, it's me. In Victoria, you get very laid back, and the brain goes to mush. No, I'm just kidding. I have no excuse. Okay, any more questions or comments?
Yeah, the next ones Joseph is saying are the 12th and the 26th. You are correct, Joseph.
Yay, Joseph. I can't change the PowerPoint when it's up, but I'll change it before I send it out. So it will be Tuesday, April the 12th, which is 1 and 2. So it's kind of like, almost 13. Great. Any more questions or whatever?
Nope, I think everybody's good. Oh, Oceana never had a question. So I guess, yeah, no problem.
Okay, so everybody's had enough. Everybody's got a better handle on commas and semicolons, and we're off for today. Take care, you guys. Talk soon. Good.
Okay, bye everyone.